So Ma, you mentioned that this is a real collaboration between friends. I think you see that in every scene in this film, and I wondered if you could all speak to that and to where the idea for the film first came from.
Yeah, I mean, it literally came out of us just nothing more than wanting to make something with our friends. I met Ben when I was 3 years old. I'm gonna cry because it's very overwhelming. And I was in love with him, and he was so gay and didn't like me. And that's real footage. We didn't pay $100 million to get that CGI. But we just always wanted to make something as a collective, and we're so inspired by all these people that just made things with their friends and brought in their greater community. And we brought in Owen and Patty and Jimmy and Io and all these amazing people, and wanted to create a sandbox where they could really own their roles and have agency and just get to have fun. And they were wonderful to work with too. So it just became this beautiful group of people.
And in terms of the writing process, how did you guys navigate that? Because there's so much improv as well. Did that change as you were shooting? How did you balance all of that?
I mean, I feel like we set out to have a really kind of clear sense of what we were doing, and it was so nice that it was so collaborative right from the beginning. And so our entire writing process was very much about trying things and creating situations that were fun to see these characters in, what did they want to play, and I think that we ended up finding when we were there and brought new people in that same spirit of just finding things on the day and staying flexible within our really clear kind of story that we knew we wanted to tell.
And in terms of a mockumentary, I love that it's all observational and that you don't really have the direct interviews in the same way. Can you talk a little bit about that choice?
Yeah, I mean, I think from the beginning when we were pitching this movie, we were we wanted to look like The War Room, and they were like, what the hell? That's insane. But we just wanted to do it in a more verite way, and just kind of make it our own in that way, because obviously this is inspired by Christopher Guest, but we wanted to do take our own spin with it.
And those verite docs are so funny. They're so funny in their own specific way when you feel like you're actually observing people. And so I think we wanted to find a way to have it have a similar spirit.
Right. And Noah and Ben, I wondered if you could also talk a little bit about the rehearsal process, workshopping, trying out jokes, seeing what was working, what wasn't. What was that like for you both?
A lot of salad. A lot of eating salad.
We didn't have much rehearsal. We didn't have a lot of time. It's a tiny film. But the beautiful thing is that we got to write that sort of micro musical at the end as one of the first kind of major projects within this project with our amazing co-writer who just played piano, Mark Sonneblick. I don't know where he is. He's so amazing. He's amazing. And so to have this sort of very concrete thing to sort of be rolling down the hill towards at all times was really very special. Rolling down the hill towards. And I think, we tried to set ourselves up in every way possible in terms of having all of our beats and scenes very clearly outlined, and depending on who our actor was and what the situation was and how story-driven the scene might be, maybe partially written, entirely written, just sort of crafting what the launch pad needed to be to then, jump off the cliff and find those happy accidents. And I think our biggest treat and surprise was how incredible all of our children were at improvising and just bringing themselves to the film and being totally in their own skin, which is what theater camp's all about. So they are really the heart of the film, and I'm so happy they came and sang for you guys, because that was the biggest treat in the world.
They honestly knew the story better than us. Sometimes they'd be like, isn't this the scene where we're supposed to be? I would say, oh yeah, right, totally, yeah. They were so great.
I do want to take a chance to open it up to the audience too. I'm sure there must be questions after all of that. Yes?
What was the process in finding the kids? Where did you look? Did you put ads out?
The question was about the process of finding the kids.
Bernie Telsey and Christian Charbonnier are our two casting directors based in New York, and they are genius, wonderful friends that just gifted us with hours upon hours of footage of genius actors and genius child actors. And one of my favorite weeks was when we were just holed up in Ben's apartment in New York watching audition tapes. And it was, I think, maybe the hardest part of the process was whittling down our select few.
I think we have a hand over here somewhere. Yeah, right there.
Thank you very much. As the parent of your kids.
for Ben and if he wrote the last song.
Along with the three people on stage with me and with Mark, yes, we all wrote it together, always knowing that the conceit was going to be this kind of kooky, insane, improvised song that Rebecca Diane tries to cover with, then becoming this beautiful anthem. And it was a wonderful kind of backwards writing process as a songwriter to sort of guess what Molly's tone might have been in that moment, and then write backwards from there was really a special experience.
We did a
Molly
lot of
says
like
that-
reverse engineering of like a lot of the music, which was fun because that was probably the first sort of like concrete piece of writing that we had completed, was like the full musical. And then on the day when we got to shooting everything, when we had, you know, the moment of them writing the songs, we got to sort of like know what the final product would be so they could work their way backwards and play with what, you know, what we had.
Yeah, I was just going to say that Molly says a lot of wild stuff while we're writing the song, so it was pretty easy to craft it into that absurd song that we have. Yeah, it's pretty.
We have another hand there. Oh, there's one all the way in the back, yes.
Hi! Rehearsals was amazing. As someone said, it's Jewish summer overnight camp in the theater department. I know that a lot of this is not as crazy and out there. This is real.
Totally. Thank you.
I paid this person.
Yes, you will.
So the question was if there were things from their real life that they wanted to include, and what was so out there that they weren't able to include, if I captured that right?
One thing that I was very keen on including that my collaborators really humored me with, and then we all kind of fell in love with it together, is that at my Jewish summer camp we have this thing called Harga'ah, which is like a nighttime performance. So every night a staff member or like a camper with a beautiful voice would come in and sing or tell a story or do Mad Libs to put everybody to sleep. And so I love the idea of at a theater camp the different ways in which those performances might manifest, and I think it's a really beautiful little texture.
Were you the camper with the beautiful voice? That
No.
Yes, please do. What's next for all of you, particularly the star of the finale?
What's next for us is, well, we shot this movie in 19 days, and then Molly and Nick have been editing it basically up until like last week.
Correct.
So I think first the thing on the agenda is sleep and maybe some delicious dinner. Professionally, watch me on The Good Doctor Mondays at 10 p.m.
And Molly can currently be seen in the film You People. That's it.
Any parting words to leave this audience with before we wrap up? Ben?
Just we're so grateful that you guys were here and got to be a part of this moment and gave us this moment, and we're just so grateful. So thank you.
Thank you.